Hello and welcome to Wake and Jake, a very special edition because it's February 2nd, as we approach spring training. 1 week from pitchers and catchers reporting. It's Super Bowl week. Little burp into the mic. Don't know if the audio picked that up. We might talk a little Super Bowl at the end. Don't think we're going to have the annual Chris Rose call because it'll be a tier list Wednesday. So I don't know. Chris Rose is rooting for sports and the Cleveland Guardians. What we're going to go through today is we're entering interesting sports time of year. I saw some people saying it was an amazing sports weekend because everyone tries to pick up the hole that football leaves in it. I thought it was okay. I found myself a few times being like, what the hell do I watch right now? Although as tennis heads, about Joko, Alcaraz, didn't watch, to be honest. But we're going to go through baseball and some off-season grades. I want to make everyone aware, and I'll let you know my thought process. This is something that I think we're good here at John Boy Media. BBD sent over America's GM, Jim Bowden, with the grades of every team's off-season. And I don't know. I hesitate a little more than I normally do. I guess in a way I feel spiritually not ready to do a team's off-season grades. Like, I think there's a few teams out there that if they signed Lucas Giolito, that their off-season could go from a B- to an A-, that I still have a little bit of nerves on that. And then I was also like, why am I not some off-season grades? Why not? I know on Talking Baseball, we do winners and losers, which is a little different. And I don't know, this can be reacting to Jim Bowden. There's going to be some teams we go through quickly. A little teaser, he gave the Nationals an A- on their offseason. They signed one free agent pitcher, Foster Griffin, I think coming over from the KBO. And then they traded away a couple MLB guys for prospects. So to give that an A-, like that's not where I spiritually land on that. I hope Nats fans are, in a year or a couple years, are loving Harry Ford, and some of the other Gavin Fiend, some of the other prospects they brought in. But I don't look at that and see an A-, if I'm being honest. So it's kind of grading the grades, and going through a few of the strategic teams of how their offseason has truly landed. And I guess I kind of need to get over, in 1 week pitchers and catchers report that I can't look at every roster and be like, well, what if they add Framber? What if they add Giolito? What if they add Gallen? What if they add Bassett? What if they had Scherzer? What if they had Verlander? Those are kind of the guys left.
There's a Brendan Donovan trade probably. And then
You'd like to think, although I don't know, the second base teams, between the Nico Horner rumors, which never seemed real, Donovan is real. All right, there was even Jazz Chisholm rumors earlier this offseason that if you wanted to trade for a second baseman, we'll see. I mean, you can't anticipate any more trades going forward. If they do happen, we will react to them the best we can. I guess I'm just being honest with the people. I was a little timid to go into some offseason grades, but I guess in a way, we're there. We're gonna see fellas in uniform next week that I kind of want to chew through it together and form some of our own opinions on the way. And I'll tell you what. There's an article on The Athletic by America's GM, Jim Bowden, posted at 5 a.m. because he's different like that. I guess the thing that I'm interested to see, because it is a long off season, we forget some of the early signings, that I kind of want to see where I land with teams off seasons, because I don't know. I do a lot of talking that I almost want to double check myself to see if it still feels the same way. And then the only other thing I looked up, which I don't know, just a fun exercise. I went to go see the teams that spent the most money in free agency. And I should tell you, if you sign one of the big free agents, you basically are a top 7 team. Number 1 and number 2, Blue Jays, Dodgers.
Yeah.
How do you like that? But yeah, like Kyle Tucker was $240 million, and the Dodgers spent $315. Cody Bellinger was $162
and a half.
The Yankees spent $192. Coming in at 7th place. So it's a really weird thing for me because, Yankee fans have been slightly up in arms that they're quote-unquote running it back. In a way, they've spent the 7th most money in free agency. The other thing that I'm going to be doing on the fly is just trying to process. Jim Bowden, in his article, he doesn't talk about parts out too much. And he goes from NL East to West, which I don't know. I feel like a lot of times we start AL, so why not start NL and try to appreciate some of the parts out, parts in. Well, also not all 30 teams are going to get the same amount of love. We are not democratic today. Is that the right word? Socialist? Buzzwords. Put those into the Google search.
Say some more.
Yeah, keep going. Atlanta in the National League East. America's GM gave them a B+. Their free agent moves. And I guess this is good to lay it all out in front of you. Raisel Iglesias, Ha-Sung Kim, 1 year, $20 million, then broke his hand. Mike Yastrzemski, 2 for 23. Suarez, 3 for 45. Tyler Kinley, 1 for 4.25. Wasn't as familiar with the 35-year-old Tyler Kinley's game. And then Jorge Mateo got 1 year, $1 million, basically as the Ha-Sung Kim insurance piece. They added Mauricio Dubon on the bench, which I do like. And I guess this is where I'm trying to process things, because like Mauricio Dubon, I love that move. Like Mauricio Dubon could be on every team, and I would like that move. Robert Suarez at the time, really liked it. He was amazing last year. And then Raisel, as the rest of the free agent reliever contracts came out, 1 year, 16. I think that's a win. That when I saw the B+, I initially didn't flinch. I guess what I'm a little nervous about, and this is kind of what he touches upon in their biggest question, it's rotation health. And I don't know, as I look around at some of these bigger teams in the league, we're talking about 7, 8 starting pitchers, or how deep is the Dodgers rotation? How deep are the Blue Jays rotation? The Mets, as they went along, they added more rotation options. That, as baseball keeps advancing, you're looking at a rotation saying, I need XYZ guys. The Braves, 5-man rotation, looks pretty nice. Sale, Schwellenbach, Strider, Lopez, Waldrop. I guess for me, I'm pretty nervous about Lopez still putting together a full starting pitching season, a guy that was a reliever for a lot of his career. And Chris Sale has had an injury history, felt like he's kind of came out of it. Had 28 starts last year, so maybe, or excuse me, no, those are his projections for this year. We went to a spring training a couple years ago, and Susan Waldman, the well-respected, one of the voices of the Yankees, we showed up at Yankee spring training. Was it 2023? Yeah, I think it was, right? It was Donaldson and Rizzo.
I think it was 2023.
And I don't know. There was excitement around the team. It's spring training. You should be excited about your team pretty much no matter what.
It could have been 24.
Could have been 24. And Susan Waldman, well, we could figure this out with Josh Donaldson, right? Because the Yankees, they pulled the plug on that in 23, right?
If the conversation's 23. Going where I think it's going about the ages of the 2 first base options.
Yes. So, yeah. So it's 2023. There's a lot of excitement around the Yankee season. And Susan Waldman just pretty bluntly was like, God, we're old in the corners. And we were just like, whoa. Donaldson and Rizzo. And it turns out she was right. She's seen a lot of ball and just respect her game. I sneaky see a lot of age around the Braves that has me a little uncomfortable. Chris Sale's turning 37. Reisel's 36. Suarez is turning 35. I guess in their pitching. So maybe that'll be my final statement. I'm a little nervous about the age around the Braves roster and how that could look and how different their rotation can feel. And you could say this with a lot of teams, but I think there's some data points here. And then the other thing I'll tell you, and this is starting to zoom out a little wide, when I looked at the Braves lineup, I didn't have the feeling that I felt in 2023 when they were looked at like as the big bad wolf. Right now, this is what Fangraphs lists as your Braves 3, 4, 5, 6 hitters. Profar, Baldwin, Riley, Yastrzemski. I don't know. It just feels like we've come a long way from a Braves team that put up one of the most feared lineups ever to that doesn't have that same feeling to it. And sure, like, do I like Ozzie Albies as a 7th hitter? Yes. Do I like Harris and Dubon 8-9? I don't know. I want to. That I was a little surprised that I like the Robert Suarez signing. That I shouldn't be coming at that. Yastrzemski, I gave a lot of credit as like a solid signing. I guess my initial thoughts would have been around Jim Bowden's B+. But when I actually look at the Braves and when I think about what we're trying to do in Atlanta or who they should be, I don't know. I guess I expected a little more. I expected a Framber. I expected, they were a Bo Bichette team for me. That I was like, maybe they just say, screw it, let's mash. They haven't really changed. I know they had injuries last year, and maybe there's some good luck injury regression in a positive way for them. I don't know. As I look at starting pitching depth, or if there's one injury in that bullpen, the Braves can feel a lot different really quick, competing against the Mets and the Phillies and a feisty Marlins team. So, okay, buckle up, everyone, because I just spent a lot of time on the Braves, and that's 1 out of 30. Let's see. What can I do quick? The Marlins are the next team. Is this alphabetical? LMN? Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
M and N in the alphabet. That one. That old chestnut. Marlins got to be Pete Fairbanks, Chris Morel, 1 year, $2 million. They traded away Edward Cabrera and Ryan Weathers. Hey, as someone who's deserving the right to flip-flop on opinions, they brought in a lot of bodies for those two pitchers. So, hey, a couple of those click. Let's go fish. I don't think I'm going to spend a lot of time, even though that's a little rude, to a Miami team that did finish ahead of the Braves last year. People forget that. I kind of like I said before, if your offseason moves are mostly revolving around acquiring prospects, I can't grade that. Let's look back.
I guess it's rude to call it doing a bad job on the grading, but what am I supposed to do?
I can't help there. Good job, Marlins. The New York Mets. A- from Jim Bowden. Bo Bichette, 3-1-26. Devin Williams and Luke Weaver. Jorge Polanco, the one that kind of set it off. Also very active in the trade market and very active like late in the game. The Simeon Nimmo money offense for defense position swap. Luis Robert, Freddie Peralta, and Tobias Myers. That one gets forgotten. Tobias Myers, major league pitcher, lots of years. Traded away Jeff McNeil. And this is the first one that you have to really look in at the bodies out. Like for the Braves, I didn't, when I looked at the Braves bodies out, it was like Marcell Ozuna, still a free agent, by the way. And I like Ozuna. Got on base a lot last year. The pop was down. Foolish Bailey told us the oblique was hurting. Let's see what happens there. Some Pirate rumors. Yar. I wouldn't go A with the Mets offseason. I love the Freddie Peralta, Tobias Myers trade. Who Freddie Peralta can be in the rotation, what maybe Tobias Myers can be for them as a swingman pitching option. Simeon and Robert, as much as I want to like them, there's also a lot of evidence in recent baseball that those guys haven't been who their name represents in baseball. Simeon's turns 36 this year. Robert, hey, I'll be in on. Like, as when we went through center fielders, it gets kind of slim pretty quick. If Luis Robert can just play his level of defense and hit lefties, which he has, like he has proven that, it's still a nice add to have on your team. And everyone, I think we think there's more in there. Simeon, I don't know. And this is where the Mets also wanted to address defense in certain positions, but they didn't. They like, when I look at the Mets roster right now, I like Simeon, Lindor, and Robert up the middle. It's almost a little bit old school, but then Soto, Polanco, is Bichette or Beatty playing third? Like a team that wanted to address their defense. I ended up liking the moves they did. There's still a lot of parts out, man. You guys know where I stand with Alonso. There's not kind of better guaranteed power in baseball. Edwin Diaz. How good was Edwin Diaz last year? Answer, really good. Thanks for tuning in. Brandon Nimmo and Jeff McNeil hit last year. So when I'm doing parts in, parts out, I like how the Mets did audible and continued to move forward. I think that Bichette for 3 years, that's awesome. The sum of the parts weirds me out that I would probably still do a B. Like, they brought in a lot of parts. But, what they're trying to replace, Edwin Diaz and Tyler Rogers, would you rather have that or Devin and Luke Weaver? I think I'm Edwin Diaz and Tyler Rogers. I mean, their body of evidence is very impressive.
And the Mets kind of tried to do those two first. I guess they got Devin done pretty early, but
they got Devin done quick, and they were in Diaz till the end. But we don't.
They were in on Rogers till the end.
I don't know. I think the Mets can have a fun, really good baseball team this year. My transaction I probably like the most is the Freddie Peralta, Tobias Myers transaction. And again, when I'm talking pitching here and I'm comparing it to the Braves, Peralta, McClain, Peterson, Holmes, Minaya, Senga, that's with Tobias Myers coming in stretched out as a long man, and that's before Jonah Tong. So I'm sorry, Braves fans, I guess let me know your young pitchers you're excited about. But that's 8 starting pitchers that if they take the mound in a baseball game, I'm like, okay, let's see what you got. And that's just showing up more and more every year. So another high and tight one there. The Phillies, C+. Schwartz, Real Muto, Brad Keller, people forget. Adolis Garcia. They trade away Matt Strahm. It's pretty solid for them. Yeah, I kind of like the C+. I guess I won't fight with America's GM here. We know they were in on Bichette. They thought they were signing Bo Bichette to a 7-year, $200 million contract, and then the next day, he was not there. So in that realm, if Bo Bichette was on this list, I think we'd be looking at a B+, or maybe an A- or something along those lines. But I currently feel a little lackluster about the Phillies offseason. They lost Ranger Suarez, who he has been just so good for them, regular season and postseason. Bader was a nice contributing piece for them. Let's see, Walker Buehler, not so much. Jordan Romano, obviously, with the Halos. Yeah, man, I mean, Alec Boehm. How much Alec Boehm has been talked about trade-wise the past couple years? One more corner outfielder for the Phillies, and Adolis Garcia is the guy they land on. That maybe that's right. They're supposed to still cut or dump Castellanos. I don't know. For what the Phillies are supposed, it's kind of similar to the Braves. That I think these are two talented teams that I wish I was walking away feeling a little more confident about the direction of their offseason. And again, the outlier here for the Phillies is we know they missed on Bichette. So if you thought you were willing and needing to bring in a player of his ilk and you didn't, cause for concern. And rounding out I teased this at the start of the episode. The Nats got an A- for their Foster Griffin and then their 3 prospect trades. So, I don't know. Rooting for them. Let's check in a couple years. The National League Central, the team that made a lot of noise this offseason. It's your Chicago Cubbies. Alex Bregman, their chips on the table move, 5 years, 175. Phil Maton, go get your bag. Hunter Harvey 1 year. Hobie Milner 1 year. Caleb Tealbar 1 year. Jacob Webb 1 year. Cubs like what they're doing out in that bullpen. The Shota Imanaga stuff. He ends up accepting the qualifying offer after his opt-in, opt-out stuff. And then the trade for Edward Cabrera, who was a guy, as a Yankee fan, we were getting ourselves excited for because you like the arm talent. You like what he did last year, and hopefully he could build upon that and add some more. Kyle Tucker is out. Like, I know that ended up landing in a weird spot. And, hey, just a reminder, like, after all the Kyle Tucker stuff, does Kyle Tucker care about baseball? Does Kyle Tucker love baseball? He did sign with the Dodgers for $240 million. So what he does is really good on a baseball field. And he did that for a chunk of the season with the Cubbies, and then he got hurt. Breggy comes in for that. Man, on the pitching side, they got a lot of parts out, a lot of parts in. That they deserve some credit, what they've been doing in their bullpen and their rotation. The rotation looks funky. It looks like you could hit an auto reorder button on their rotation and feel kind of good about it. Like right now it has Shota as the 4 and Matt Boyd as the 1. Edward Cabrera and Cade Horton. Like, it feels like you could roulette those 4 guys and find a rotation. I like the Cubs offseason. I like that they didn't trade Nico Horner, even though everyone else rumors them for it. And I guess for me, it's just they made the Bregman decision instead of Kyle Tucker. Net, my obnoxious phrase that I've stopped saying as much. Where does that really land? I don't know. I don't know the difference there. I know they just wanted it for their franchise and how they feel. Would I give the Cubbies an A? I might go B+. I don't know. I feel like, again, the Bregman move is cool, but you do have to factor in Kyle Tucker out. And I guess I've always expected them to do a slightly more chips on the table move, and maybe they don't need that on the pitching side. Like, is Justin Steele going to come back this year? They probably deserve a little more credit on the pitching side than I tend to give them. I'm also a little freaked out. I'll be interested to see how they handle their DH spot. Again, right now they have the young Ballesteros there. Tyler Austin back in Major League Baseball, by the way. Watch out. Shake it fast. Watch yourself. I like the Cubbies. It's a very nice offseason. I'd come in slightly below A. Sorry, America's GM, Jim Bowden. This one's tough for me. You know the team that spent the least amount in free agency? Your first place in the National League, Milwaukee Brewers. The one free agent they've technically signed, Akil Baddoo. Remember his month? Akil Baddoo for 1 year, $1.25 million. That does ignore Brandon Woodruff accepted the qualifying offer, which that's nice. And again, a reminder to go look at his stats. They traded away Freddie Peralta and Tobias Myers, which I said I like that for the Mets. They brought in Angel Zerpa for Isaac Collins and Nick Mears. Do you remember where you were for that trade? I don't know. Angel Zerpa has good arm talent, and knowing the Brewers, watch out for that. I don't know. It sucks for this exercise that we have to use the Brewers this way, but it is what it is, man. GM Matt Arnold won his second consecutive Executive of the Year. Take that, David Stearns. While not adding anything in free agency. So, I mean, Brewers just get an A, but for what, pa? God, that franchise. The Pittsburgh Pirates. Gregory Soto, 1 year, $7.75 million. Ryan O'Hearn, 2 years, $29 million. Okay, you like both of those. Those are two players I like. Those are two players that if they ended up on my team, I would tell myself yes. I mean, Ryan O'Hearn in there every day against righties. Gregory Soto as a potential high leverage arm in the bullpen. How could you not like that? Trade away Oviedo for the password. Jonathan Garcia. I don't know how impactful that'll be this year. And then the bigger one for them was Brandon Lau and Jake Mangum. And Mason Montgomery. People forget. In the three-way trade with the Rays and the Astros, they traded away Mike Burrows, who I put a little, I don't know the DraftKings sprinkle on it because this isn't how things work. When you look back at that trade and you say who's the best player, I think Mike Burrows might be. Just an inkling. I don't know, man. America's GM gives the Pirates an A-. I don't feel that way, and maybe there's just too many hurt feelings from previous years of Pirates baseball. They were supposedly in on Eugenio Suarez. The rumor is they offered the same money, if not more, if not 2 years. But Gino wanted to go to Cincinnati where he was familiar with the team and a little more comfortable, which kind of fair. And I don't know. Also, Pirates' reputation here. For Gino, I kind of like the decision. We also know they were in on Schwarber. They offered Schwarber real money. They're in on Gino after they made some of these moves that I don't feel great about the Pirates. And I feel like I could be a move and a half away from being like really excited about the Pirates. And that's just not there. So I think they're talking to Marcell Ozuna. Maybe that helps. I saw Pirates fans saying they need a fifth starter. There's a couple guys out there. Mad Max, him and Skeens back at it. I don't know. I can't give the Pirates an A. That just doesn't feel right to me. Hopefully Connor Griffin is the dude. He's like the new number one prospect in baseball. And maybe he's up at some point and there's another Pirates breakout and we're talking about them like a real baseball team, but I'm not there. Cardinals got a B, and this is just Jim Bowden moving through his article. Dustin May and Ryan Stanek, 1-year deals. They traded away Sonny Gray's money to the Red Sox. They traded away Wilson Contreras' money to the Red Sox. Chaim Bloom is now officially the president. I don't know. I want to give that a B. I'll give that a C. Like, you got off money, and I don't know what you got in return. And, okay, maybe it gives you a reset year in time for young players to play, but I can't give them a B. That's not what you want. It's just not.
And they ate a lot of money and
right.
The three biggest get-off money moves.
I can't say I like their offseason. That's just how I'm seeing it. The National League best. The Diamondbacks, maybe the lowest grade I've seen so far from America's GM, a D+. Woof. Merrill Kelly, 2 for 40. Soroka, 1 for 7.5. James McCann, don't forget. They dumped they got dumped on. Another Cardinals trade I missed. Sorry, guys. You know what? C+ for the Cardinals. They moved on. Sonny, Wilson, Nolan, they did it. Sometimes that's hard to do.
They did what they had to.
I'll give them credit for that. They could have not, and then we'd be even more grossed out. So I just upped them to a C+. Congratulations, you played yourself. We didn't spend a lot of time on the Avery Owusu-Asidu from the Phillies for Kyle Backus trade.
Yeah.
So that's on me personally. Okay, man. Bowden really lays on the screws here. Soroka, I think at some point is going to be a high leverage reliever. I think the Snakes are stretching him out, which frustrates me every year, and I think is part of the reason he gets hurt. Did the Snakes have a bad offseason? Zach Gallen is a free agent. Kendall Graveman and Jalen Beeks. Yeah, I think D+ might be a little harsh. Johnny Lasagna on that non-roster invite hey, if you're a Snakes fan, you want a lot more, obviously. Merrill Kelly coming home, I mean, to me, that's kind of funny. They had a big offseason last year, so I guess I don't know what the expectation was to make Jim Bowden give this grade. Like supposedly they might be in on Paul Goldschmidt. Maybe one of those starting pitchers they make a move on. They put so much money into Corbin Burns that that one set them back a little bit. I mean, for as surprising and as exciting as that move was at the time, that did set them back. I'll go C- on expectation. So I guess I'm not changing the grade that much. But you're right. There's not a lot there to chew on for a team that we were really excited about. They went to the World Series. They signed Corbin Burns. We're like, all right, Corbin Carroll's a superstar. And this offseason doesn't give that energy as they take on Arenado as a contract dump. Colorado Rockies, Willie Castro and Michael Lorenzen. Trade for Jake McCarthy. Trade for Eddie Julian. Can he get back? Back to what? Paul DePodesta. Jonah Hill. People forget. People don't forget. Also Jonah Hill. I'm not grading that.
Yeah.
I'm just not grading that. There's nothing to grade. Sorry, my beautiful Rockies fans. Dodgers got an A+.
Not believe it.
Not bad. Kyle Tucker, Edwin Diaz, Miguel Rojas from Shohei, Andy Ibanez. I keep saying people forget. Foolish Bailey on a potential breakout episode said Andy Ibanez a couple years ago because he's got some exit velo. I think he just hits it straight into the ground. So maybe the Dodgers just tap into that real quick. I'm not going to give them credit on Andy Ibanez. I'll give them credit on signing the best reliever and maybe the best position player.
Episode we covered last week about who upgraded position groups the best.
Right.
They were two of them.
Dodgers hit 2. So, yeah, that can be high and tight. I agree. Well done. Padres, Michael King, Kyle Hart, Sing Mung Song. That one they snuck that one past us a little bit, huh? And new manager Craig Stammen. That's what really matters here. Yeah, the Padres are so hard to grade because we don't really know what's going on with this team. There's some more the team is for sale rumors. The fact they brought in Mike, I guess this turns into an expectations thing because, again, we have this weird expectation with the Padres that we think they're going to do nothing, and then they usually find a way to do something. I mean, they lost Cease, O'Hearn, Suarez, O'Rise, Jason Hayward, Nestor Cortez. Is Nestor coming home, BBD? Think about it.
I mean, I know what my reaction would be.
Think about it. I would have a lower grade. I think what I was just doing was also grading the Padres on a scale. Like, for who the Padres are supposed to be and trying to keep up with the Dodgers, although no one kind of can keep up with the Dodgers. Like, the fact they re-signed Michael King is the move. They lost a lot. But again, we're kind of holding them to a different or wrong standard that I would bring that down. I think it would be a C. I think I do love Michael King. And that contract could actually be amazing if he's healthy for 2 of 3 years. Like, I think that's an amazing contract. But yeah, they lost a lot. Your San Francisco Giants, the last team in the National League. Jesus, I am shredding today. Tyler Mahle, 1 year, $10 million. Pat Henches, Sam Henches. Who's Pat Henches?
Whoa.
Adrian Hauser, Senor Puke. Harrison Bader and Luis Ariz over the weekend. So we got some pieces in. No real trades, impact trades of note. Parts going out for the Giants. Justin Verlander, Dom Smith, who was actually solid for them last year. Go check out your Dom Smith stats when you get a sec. Wilmer Flores, who had been a contributor, sometimes high on that team. Not a ton of parts out, and they did bring parts in. America's GM gave them a B. I think I want to agree with that. I guess in a Giants way, they brought in guys. Tyler Mahle, said it a different way, has been really good when he's been on the mound. A little bit of an injury history. Adrian Hauser was really good last year, but the metrics do not love him. That I don't know. Could Mahle and Hauser been one person? I don't know. It kind of becomes a depth versus someone that you know is going to contribute. It's going to be very interesting to see where the current free agent pitcher contracts land.
If it turned out Framber ends up settling for a 2 years opt-out deal that's in the area of just Mahle and Hauser add their salaries, do they have regrets?
Could be an interesting exercise. Maybe it's right. I guess I get scared because the team I kind of liked when the Orioles did that last year, and that backfired in a massive way. Bader and Wright, they got ball players on this team, and their front office is trying something. B is probably the right answer. I guess I don't need to be cliquey or anything. If anything, I'd actually push it up.
They're doing stuff.
My brain might not fully believe it, but my heart wants to. 1 through 7, they got ball players, man. That I want to believe in it. I want to believe in it. Man, Tony Vitello, they're going to be one of the more fun teams to check in on this year. A full season of Devers. Is Arise going to play second? In my head, I don't think so, but they said he was.
That's reportedly a big part of why he picked them.
Right.
But
I realize
at the same
that.
time, what's he going to do if they just trade for Donovan and have a blast?
Situations change quick. Ask Rafael Devers next to him. The American League. Wow, this turned into a whole deal, huh? The Baltimore Orioles signed Peter Alonso, Ryan Helsley, Zach Eflin, Andrew Kittredge, Leody Tavares. They also traded for Taylor Ward. They traded for Shane Baz. I would give this offseason an A, and so did America's GM. So look at that. I mean, Taylor Ward and Pete Alonso, you added 70-plus homers. That I really like that. I think Shane Baz could break out. I like Eflin on a 1-year deal. I like Helsley and Kittredge ensuring the back end of that team. And I think they just did enough that, the Orioles could have done hey, we brought, they need to bring in some pitching. And they did, and they could bring in more. They are still the number 1 team rumored for Framber. Let's see if that happens, and then it would really be an A+. They basically could have just sat there and said, hey, we need our young guys to be better. We need Gunnar to be a little better. Jackson Holliday to be a little better. Westberg, Rushman. I mean, how much have we talked about him? Samuel Basayo, who looks like a little baby Devers at the plate. They could have just said, hey, this is our team. We need to get a little better. They added Pete Alonso. I liked their pitching moves, and maybe there's more, but they've had one of my favorite off seasons so far. Red Sox kid, B+ from America's GM. Sonny Gray and Wilson Contreras, we mentioned those. Johan Oviedo, which we mentioned on the Pirates end. I do like that as a very nice insurance piece for the Boston Red Sox. The Boston Red Sox, kind of crazy. And if you go check out this article, Jim Bowden, me and BBD were laughing beforehand. He ends each team with his prediction for where they're going to land. His 4th place for the Red Sox. I currently don't have that. It was interesting seeing Eugenio Suarez's contract come out, and for the Boston Red Sox to have an insurance potential 40 homer guy for that price. Feels like that could have been worthwhile. And yeah, like I've talked about, like I really like Wilson Contreras, his biggest season isn't a crazy big season, and maybe this is the year that bucks the trend. And I've done that whole talk. I like what they brought in. The Ranger Suarez is a dog. Sonny is a guy. And they're banking on their young guys just a little more. Like, they want to see what Roman Anthony is, and rightfully so. They want to see what Marcelo Meyer is. Second base, is this not the Brendan Donovan team? Like, we've joked about it. He looks like a Red Sox. Romy Gonzalez is being a platoon against lefty guys for them. I love that.
Can still do that.
And we kind of expected them to do another outfielder move. So I guess I would probably go B+ to B. Like, we thought there would be one more. Like, the pitching moves, kind of solid. Like, good jobs, Red Sox. People are talking about them as one of the strongest rotations. This lineup, like, okay, here's Jake's words he could regret in a couple months. Who leads this team with homers and how many? You know?
Yeah.
Like, let's even knock on wood. Story, I'm rooting for Trevor Story. Like him.
Nice guy.
Even though he's a Red Sox, like Trevor Story. Played a lot of games last year. Let's say that comes down a little bit. Let's say Roman Anthony's great at on base, but the pop isn't fully developed yet. Like, I don't know. That's just I don't want to be a home run or bust person. But, it was pretty weird looking back at the Reds last year, and Elly De La Cruz led the team with 22 homers. I don't know. There's a lot of stats that say the home run is really good. Welcome to minute 42. I don't know. That's just a little something to watch for the Sox.
Like, I think, we talked about it. He hasn't had the year yet, and we talked a little bit. Like, Wilson Contreras, in theory, well built for Fenway. His career high to this point is 24 homers. I think he can beat that, just period, but also being in Fenway instead of Chicago and St. Louis now.
Sure. I mean, it's...
But how many is
his age 30?
Does that become?
His age 34 season in a new division. Like, I'm not trying to poo-poo. Like, Trevor Story...
He might be the Family Feud answer to that question, and I don't know how impressive a number he's really getting to.
Story had 25 last year. Like, it's not everything to offense, and I hope more things come back to offense than besides a homer, but it could just be one of those weird things that you're looking at the Red Sox and you're like, oh, they're not really I guess they were 7th in runs last year and 15th in homers. And hey, maybe Roman Anthony is just a guy of guys, and maybe he's your answer with 38. So let's see what that is, but I came down on America's GM. Feels like some of those emails. The New York Yankees, I don't follow super closely. Bellinger, Yarborough, Rosario, Blackburn, Trent Grisham. Wait, weren't those guys all on the team last year?
I think so.
Interesting. They traded for Ryan Weathers, which if you're looking for upside in a young pitcher, you got to like that deal. Shavili. Yeah, hey, it's a weird one as Yankee fans. Like, as I mentioned, they technically spent the 7th most amount of money in free agency, and a lot of that is the Belly contract. And Cody Bellinger is a really good player. And Trent had a really good year last year. Those should be acknowledged. I just think America's GM gives them a C. I probably agree because you're just they're banking on the trade deadline and guys getting healthy and seeing what parts they have and, the roller coaster of a baseball season. Jason Dominguez at midseason this year could look like one of the best young players in baseball. Jason Dominguez could be in AAA. And the Yankees are going to find out some of that stuff, and some of it's probably the right move. It's a little daunting for Yankees fans that we're hitting what should be the end part of the Judge Cole window, and there wasn't a little more urgency.
There hasn't been there hasn't been like the effort to figure out who could take over like the number one spot for Judge if a day ever comes that he's not the best hitter ever.
Right.
Which
will happen.
They wanted to keep Soto, and that would have been
nice.
That would have been that. It didn't happen, and that was over a year ago.
Is Ben Rice an all-star, or is he a platoon guy?
As we're behind the scenes and getting us ready on a doc for PPP stuff, there's reasons to still believe in the group, and it was not that many obvious holes.
Listen to us.
Even Grisham, like the underlying numbers say last year he should have done even better, and it was a good year. It was real.
I thought we were the Yankees.
You always expect them to, even in a year with an offseason not look like this, where there was the one obvious hole of keeping your guy. Usually they have some trick.
I guess the Yankees are going to have a big deadline, whatever that means, because doing nothing would be crazy. I'll tell you that much. But their offseason not that juicy, and that is what it is. They brought guys back.
Part of what they did at the deadline was set us up for a boring-ish offseason with less holes that actively had to be filled.
I think they like that. And maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. Be the Yankees. Tampa Bay Rays, Jake Fraley, Cedric Mullins, Steven Matz, couple lefties. They traded away Brandon Lau and Jake Mangum, who were big contributors for them, and Boz. They acquired Gavin Lux. We kind of missed that one on the fly. I like Gavin Lux. Note that. Write that down.
They'll put him in a position to cash in.
Yeah. C+. If anything, I'm going lower. I'm not impressed by that. I realize the Rays are one of the teams that operate differently, but I don't know. Like Boz was a big part of what they did last year. I know some highs and lows. Brandon Lau has been a staple for them. Mangum was pretty damn good for them last year. It's not what you want. And they're working on stadium stuff that they're projected to finish 5th in the AL East. The Toronto Blue Jays got an A. Dylan Cease. The signing everyone might have forgot about. Kazuma Okamoto. 4 years, $60 million. Tyler Rogers and Cody Ponce. The Blue Jays were hot to trot. Like I mentioned, the second most amount of money spent. Or was it the most? Let me double check. They were number one.
Oh.
$337 million committed. Most of that to Dylan Cease. And then the other guys I mentioned. So I guess A is easy to do because this shouldn't just be who gave out the most money. Although, if you're giving out money to good players, it's a nice recipe to have a nice offseason. I guess I just want to circle the Dylan Cease signing. We did this before with Framber, and what does that contract end up looking like? I know people are wondering about in the clubhouse and, obviously the crossed-up catcher and how much that affected his free agency. I guess for me, we've seen Dylan Cease have great years. We've seen Dylan Cease have mediocre years. That Dylan Cease signing, hey, I'll just hand up. You want that guy on your team. He's got arm talent. We've seen him have top 3 Cy Young seasons. You want Dylan Cease, so I'm not doing that. I just will say, 2 of his last 4 seasons, I realize ERA isn't a predictive stat, but he's had tough years. That, depending what the other pitching contracts look like this offseason, we could look back at that Dylan Cease contract and be like, whoa. Did the Blue Jays have to get it done so early in the offseason?
Did they have to give 7?
Could it have been Framber for 3? Like, that's at this point, after the Eugenio contract came out the other day, everyone's kind of like walking on pins and needles a little bit of what could Framber's contract be. So maybe I shouldn't play that game. Ponce from the KBO. Let's see if he's the next guy there. And Tyler Rogers, man, it's one of those things when you put his stats side by side with all the other relievers, you're like, wait, he's elite. You just don't watch him pitch because he throws underarm, which is illegal in the rule book. But nobody calls it out, and good. They did lose Bo Bichette. Should be noted. They're probably going to lose Bassett. They lost Sir Anthony Dominguez. Scherzer out. So, you know, there's some parts in, parts out there, but Okamoto's a fun one. That's the biggest wild card. Probably from this free agency. Is he a guy? Toronto thinks he is. $60 million. If I go back and I check the free agent contracts given out, like Okamoto, I think he lands higher on the board than you think. Okamoto signed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The 12th highest. Yeah, the 12th highest amount of money given out.
Oh.
The guys ahead of Okamoto, this free agency. Diaz, King, Naylor, Bichette, Ranger Suarez, Schwarber, Alonso, Belly, Bregman, Cease, Tucker. Below Okamoto, Amai, Devin Williams, Real Muto, Robert Suarez. So he's kind of like, he's the tipping point of this free agency. Like, is he with the guys above him, or is he with the guys below him?
If you got more than him, you're a high-paid free agent.
Like, it's right where the line is a little bit. That's a little bit of a wild card. I guess, hey, salty Yankee Jake, I'll bring the Blue Jays down to a B+, because I think that Cease contract has a chance of being, hey, everything I said negative about it, I also compared him to, like, Zach Wheeler. So maybe it could be a great contract for them. And Okamoto, I have no clue. No clue.
If we're in the business of nitpicking the Blue Jays, which I have no reason to, first place, they beat us, whatever. It's not
great.
They wanted Tucker and didn't get him. I know that was
right. You can.
They showed wanting to do some amount even more than what they did.
The same argument that I gave for the Phillies wanting to sign Bichette, I can use that. Could use that on Toronto. So yeah, good note. The AL Central, the White Sox. Hey man. Kay, Newcomb, Sir Anthony, Murakami, and Austin Hayes. They traded away Luis Robert. Let's see what that feels like. They just did the Jordan Hicks, David Sandlin trade, as it may be remembered in a couple years. They did stuff. That's kind of it. Maybe Murakami something. Maybe he's not. Sir Anthony Dominguez could probably get traded at some point. Does K have a new KBO life? Sean Nuka, I don't know, man. They added, it feels like they kind of moved on. Like, I know this is crazy to say about Luis Robert, who we love the talent and hoping he kicks into gear for the Mets. It feels like an officially new era of White Sox baseball. So, yeah, I think in a way they should be complimented for that. I don't know what it means. No clue. And they don't either. Like, that's your spoiler. They did some things. Go White Sox, go. A couple of those young guys. Come on. Edgar Caro versus lefties. That's what I'm talking about. What do you see, Beebs?
Miguel Vargas batting fourth is kind of...
Yeah, you don't love it.
Look, none of us are under the illusion they're a good team.
Right.
But I couldn't believe that was my takeaway when I first pulled up what their lineup is.
Murakami 6, baby. Let's see. They might be fun to watch. How do you like that? DraftKings Super Bowl 60 deserves a sports book built for the moment, and that is DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60. If there's a sporting event to get in on the action, it's the Super Bowl. If you're looking for silly ones, if you're looking for any prop under the sun, DraftKings has it, and they have their early exit, so if a player goes down in the first half, you still get paid out in cash. Like that a lot. New customers bet just $5. If your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code JAMSPORTS. That's code JAMSPORTS. Turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Cleveland Guardians get a D, which is just tough because they're kind of the AL Milwaukee Brewers. And what grade did my Brewers get? Scrolling. Yeah. Brewers got a B+.
Traded away Freddie.
I mean, they got the Sprout goat, but yeah, I don't know. Cleveland has tortured me for years. They deserve credit. How about this? Like re-extending Jose Ramirez, I think that's kind of cool. I don't know if it changes anything for this season. Yeah, man, they just don't. DeLauder, Manzardo, and Bazana. They shouldn't even get a grade. Sad. Detroit Tigers, Kyle Finnegan, Kenley Jansen, and Drew Anderson got 1 year, $7 million. Did you know? Gleyber Torres accepted the qualifying offer, which that might have changed their offseason. Another year, another Bregman rumor for their fan base. Another year that doesn't happen. I love Kenley Jansen because he just pitches every year, so that's kind of fun. Gives him a C+. If I got a couple agrees with Jim Bowden, I would probably agree with this one quick, just because I don't know. I think they were playing a little bit of chicken with Gleyber to see if he would accept it, and he did. I think that changed their free agency a little bit. They got arms, and I don't know. It kind of the looming Scooble thing, which, by the way, his qualifying offer, arbitration, that's the term, is Wednesday. And let's see what happens there, because we are talking about a gap in money. Could be fun. Could be scary. Kansas City Royals get a B. Lane Thomas and Alex Lang. They traded for Matt Strahm. Like that. Isaac Collin and Mears, we mentioned that. Cameron Meisner from the Rays. Extended Michael Garcia. So we love that for them. And manager Matt Quatraro. I would probably bring it down a notch. Hey, maybe Lane Thomas hits lefties again. Maybe Isaac Collins wasn't a blip in the pan. Is that a term? Like Strahm, he's going to look good in a Royals uni. I don't know. I can't tell you. That Royals outfield has been kind of frustrating for years, and I can't promise you it got better. That, again, I know they're a team that operates a little differently, like a lot of these Central teams, but yeah, B doesn't feel right for me. Would have liked to see a little more. Minnesota Twins get a D. Is that the lowest grade?
So far, I think so.
Sheesh. Josh Bell, Caratini, and Taylor Rogers. My goodness. A dismal offseason, says America's GM. His words. They just got rid of Derek Falvey. Mutual parting of ways. Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it.
End of January?
I think if I was Derek Falvey, my vote would probably keep my job, run the Twins. Maybe it wasn't, dude, because they're like out of money, we think. They're trying to sell the team. They didn't have a TV contract. I don't know. Kind of crazy how quick it went from the Twins were like the AL Central contender, and do they have more in the tank, to now a little bit sad state of affairs. I wonder what we're saying about them by the end of the year, and I won't disagree with America's GM. The Athletics, a C-, Mark Leiter Jr. and Jeff McNeil. They extended Soderstrom and Jacob Wilson, so that's nice. Another team that operates differently. You would have liked to see something on the pitching side of the ball, because their lineup looks pretty sick, and I want to give them little snaps for extending these guys, and it seems like that is what the Athletics front office has been allowed to do to keep talent. Like, hey, if you bring them in and you could extend them kind of the team-friendly way, let's do that. So they've done that. So they kind of made their bet, and we're going to see what we're saying about the Athletics this season, because they're supposed to take a leap one of the next 2 years. Will they? Find out. Houston Astros, C+. Amai, Nate Pearson, Ryan Weiss. People talking. Trade away Dubon. They got Mike Burrows. I like that. And Kai Tang. Don't forget. From the Giants. Framber out. Amai. Burrows in. The lineup, they're banking on health to get better. I'm going to give them one click and get one more instant reaction, even though I've looked at and thought about Houston a lot. Because it always feels slightly off that there's not one more thing in the lineup or not one more thing in the rotation. They deserve a little more credit. Hey, maybe I should give Amaya a little more love. He was right after Okamoto in that signing area. So is he with is he with the upper tier? Is he with the lower tier? Again, I like the signing. Like, I think for at least this year, I think I like Amaya and who he should be in the big leagues. I've told BBD before we did this, and the one that keeps making me laugh is if Framber goes back. I would really like Houston's offseason. I know there's a lot going on with Framber rumor-wise, but he's also been as stable as a starting pitcher gets in baseball. And he's off the team. So, yeah, C+, if anything, I'm going a little lower. I think it's just a C. I know they're banking on health to get better. You can also bank on players. And it hasn't been the biggest offset. I mean, it's really a my. It's really just a my. And Mike Burrows, who I've said I liked. So let me call myself out on that. But I think I'd rather have Framber. Maybe they'll prove me wrong on that. The Los Angeles Angels had the most Angels offseason they've ever had. Somehow they continue to do it. Kirby Yates, Drew Pomeranz, Jordan Romano, Alek Manoah, Yoan Moncada. That's insane. That's insane.
Trading for Gray Rod counts.
Gray Rod counts. And hey, Josh Lowe from the Rays. Really like that. I like him. That kid's got talent. Vaughn Grissom, I don't know. He's still shockingly young.
Angelsy. Just keeping it a buck.
JV and Sandridge. I think I would lower the grade just with their history. I can't give them a C+. I think I'm closer to a D. I'm sorry, Halo fans. It just is every offseason they've ever had. Minus Gray Rod. Like, hey, I hope Baltimore got that one wrong. If I'm keeping it a buck, which I'm not going to start saying. But yeah, season prediction, 5th place from America's GM. And it's just that crew, man. Seattle Mariners, A-. Naylor, Refsnyder. They traded for Jose A. Ferrer. Again, this is a talented team that has a talented minor league system. I know the Harry Ford trade kind of shocked them a little bit because he was, I don't know, fans thought he was going to be one of the guys, and then you quote-unquote just get a lefty reliever. Yeah, I guess you don't really question their pitching, right? Like, we never have, so it's just the lineup. And bringing in Naylor was a big move for them. And Rob Refsnyder just mashes lefties wherever he is. So I like that move. I think people were curious about the corners. Were they going to bring in one more body? They did not. So I guess that would be the question mark. And again, my head was probably at B+. They have them at A-. That the Mariners are really well positioned in that division. I've been trying to muster up, like, could this be the Athletics comeback year? And maybe I'll still try to muster that up. But who the Mariners are as a franchise right now, strong, really strong. The Texas Rangers, the torture chamber that is the Texas Rangers, Danny Jansen, and then a bunch of Jacob Junis, Tyler Alexander, Alexis Diaz, and Chris Martin. The Nimmo trade. And Mackenzie Gore. So as we keep doing that, I got a little more hype that if anything, they gave him a B. I would notch that up. I think you go B+. You brought in a lot of arms, and Mackenzie Gore does have a chance. Like, what he did in his first 19 starts last year clearly ran out of steam. Went on the IL with shoulder fatigue, which that's just like, okay. Ran out of juice. Trying to put together a full season. I really like that trade. I think if any team ended up with Mackenzie Gore, you'd be really excited about that. Nimmo for Simeon is currently a win for the Rangers for me. Maybe when the money runs out for Simeon, I won't be saying that. But currently, offensively and ability-wise, that's a win. That I like it. You would have liked another shake-up to the sticks because that was the problem last year, but maybe things will shake themselves up. Maybe they won't.
Maybe Nemo's enough.
They should have a really strong pitching staff. Jock Peterson shouldn't be awful. The Rangers and the Reds tend to torture me. And that was all of them. So holy smokes. That was a lot of baseball, huh? It wasn't a 30 for 30. You guys know I bust those out when I like to, but you only get 1 minute then. Some of these teams we gave some time to. I guess I'm going to talk a little Super Bowl. An hour 05 in for the people. Jolly Olive waiting to come in and record a tier list with me. And I have to go to the bathroom if I'm being completely honest. But until then, Super Bowl thoughts. I'll just rattle them off as I go, a little stream of consciousness. Seahawks, Patriots in San Francisco. That's neat to say. I'm low on the Patriots. I don't think it's bias. The Patriots had to beat the Broncos with Jarrett Stidham at quarterback. They beat Houston. C.J. Stroud looked awful, which, hey, credit to the Patriots. It was in New England. The other side of what you can say for Drake May is he played against two, top-tier defenses. And Seattle ranks that way, too. So if he does get through this, get ready. I think we're all prepared anyways for the Patriots to be back. I love Rabel. I don't want that to get lost in my Patriots mix or just natural New York-Boston stuff. I think Rabel's great, and I think he's their best chance to win this game. I think the Patriots keep it close. I think it ends up being a low-scoring game. I think this game gets ugly. I still don't fully believe in Sam Darnold. I think he has a chance to, ironically, have a poopy pants moment. I think the Seahawks might know that too, that they might play a little conservative. I think the Patriots are going to try to rattle him early, hit him early. That's one of the scouting reports on Sam. That I think if you're the Seahawks, you try to counter that. Like both of these teams, I think there's going to be a conservative energy early to just not blow it. I think both teams are more scared of that than winning it, which, hey, when they talk about playing loose and fast and how ugly a Super Bowl can get, if one of those teams has a little more effort just going on, maybe you'll notice that, and maybe the tides will start swaying that way. I think the Seahawks are just a better team. That's kind of what it comes down to. Darnold has played great this year. JSN is one of the best players in football. Canine, my guy Kenneth Walker. When we've talked Seahawks this year, I have so many texts mad at Zach Charbonnet this season because Kenneth Walker could have had some massive fantasy games this year. But Charbonnet was kind of their goal line back because he's a little better at hitting the hole. And that's fair. But, if Kenneth Walker was viewed as more of a guy by Seattle, I think he would have had big games. Some of my Super Bowl hot takes would be Charbonnet being out, I think helps Seattle, which, okay, Kenneth Walker rolls his ankle in the first and watch that take fly out the window. And Seattle's defense is really good. The Patriots have been shamed for their schedule all year, and maybe everyone just needs to stop because they're in the Super Bowl, and it is football, and it is one game. Drake May has some shoulder stuff. People don't know if it's real or funny business. The answer probably lies somewhere in between. I don't know. I think it's Seahawks close. I think it's Seahawks big if it goes that way. Can the Patriots win? Absolutely. It's one football game. Darnold gets popped in the first quarter or throws a pick six early. Watch out. I do think the story in the movie is Sam Darnold's comeback. Wake and Jake football listeners will remember I was on Seattle's coach a while ago, Mike McDonald. As much as I love who Rabel is, I think McDonald's kind of one of those guys. He's just been ignored along the way. It's a little Pacific Northwest action going on. And how good has Rashid Shaheed been for Seattle? I'd like to think it's not blind against Seattle. Against New England, because I hand up, I admit that. The Patriots fandom gets to me sometimes. A lot of buddies that are Pats fans. I think they're outgunned in this. I think the Broncos would have won that game if they had Bo Nix. I think that's kind of clear. And Houston was just a disaster. So I compared it to the Yankees beating the AL Central and going to the World Series. They had to play 7 games. Well, they only had to play 5, actually. I don't know. I think New England, I'm not trying to knock them. I think Drake May is good. I think Rabel is here. I think they need to beef up the rest of the talent on that roster, and Seattle's already there. They kind of got a lot of dudes all over the field. Cooper Kupp in one big game, why not? Maybe it's all wrong. Maybe New England's back. In on Seattle. I think it's probably an icky game. I think both teams come out a little scared with their quarterbacks not trying to not get their quarterbacks shell-shocked early. That both teams kind of try to get through the first quarter. Get in the rhythm of the game. Don't blow it. But I think, a 24-10. Maybe Seattle scores late to ice it. That's what I'm seeing. I don't have a plan to watch it yet. Maybe I'll get one. Hope you do. Wednesday, Jolly, tier list. Enjoy, subscribe, go sports. When we see you next week, I think pitchers and catchers reporting. My goodness. Woo, good golly, Miss Jolly. Thank you, guys. We love you. Subscribe, share.